What's going on, guys? I don't know how many people follow my Instagram page, but over there I had an interesting question when I posted a picture of my Impinda. I guess I should start there. This is a CRK Impinda, a slip joint knife, designed in collaboration with Bill Harsey, and this is a small 21 Insingo. Yeah, and quick backdrop. Well, the question was, which one of these two knives do I prefer? And I don't remember if Y was in there, but the question was broadly, which one of these two knives do I prefer? I will say, given a little bit of history, what brought me to traditional knives was a small 21 Insingo. I carried a small 21 Insingo probably for 2 or 3 years straight. No other knife in my pocket. Every day I went into work, I had a small 21 Insingo, and that was because it was a knife that fit into an office setting. It did everything I needed it to do. It did that well. The company supported the product. I just didn't really have a lot of reasons to change up. However, as you've heard me say, and as a lot of people that really have not, in my opinion, dug deeper into a 21 Sebenza or Sebenza in general, it's so simple. It works so well. There are so few issues. It just does everything without any fuss or problems. It gets boring after a while. So that led me to traditional knives, which led a lot of you guys to my channel. So that's a little background on this. I have lots of experience with 21s, but the small 21 Insingo in general, a lot of people ask me why I like the Insingo blade shape. At the time, the 21s, the tip of the drop points were very thick. You can see here, there's a swedge on either side of the blade, and that makes for a very fine point. So if you need to pierce something or if you need to do some fine work, again, I work in an office, so I might just want to cut something out on a flat surface. This point helps with that. That very thin point helps with that. I might need to pierce into a ream of paper. Yeah, I'm that guy that cuts off the top of the ream of paper so I can just pull the pages out as I need them. So this worked better for me. Also, this sweeping belly here, this consistent belly, I find works better for me because most of my cuts are going to be slicing cuts, and this constant belly kind of mimics that circular motion that your arm makes as you cut. So the edge of the blade is always in contact with the material, or it's in contact more often than it's not with other blade shapes. So yeah, on to the Impinda. I got this knife. It instantly had to go back. Apparently there were some issues, and Tim covered this in a recent interview. They had switched over to using a wire EDM machine, and they hadn't really worked out the kinks on that before they started making the knives and putting them out. And this knife, there's a video on it. If you look back in my Chris Reeve's playlist, it literally made the most awful sound. Now, I do have to say, and God, I can't remember the name of the place I bought this from. It's a smaller Omaha Knives. Omaha Knives, I'm pretty certain, is the name of the place. They instantly jumped on the situation. They reached out to Chris Reeve directly because at the time, this was when these first came out, there literally were no more to be bought. Even at the retailer level, there were no more to be purchased. So there was no way they could swap it out for me. And Chris Reeve reached out to me directly, and between the two of those, Omaha Knives and Chris Reeve Knives, they did take care of me. Omaha Knives even continuously reached out to me throughout the process to make sure I was taken care of. So if you haven't checked them out, they don't pay me. I have no sponsors. I don't get free stuff. I'm not that cool. No, the truth is I don't want a bunch of free stuff. That's a whole different story, but yeah, I would check them out. I had an excellent experience. Chris Reeve fixed the problem. Now that leads into kind of my problems with the direction of Chris Reeve knives currently. It seems like there are lots of issues in my 31 video, or in the 21 video I did recently. There were lots of comments about different issues people are having with 31s. There's a whole entirely long thread about the 31 over on Blade forums, etc., etc., etc. But these two knives have both served me well. Obviously, we know the track record of the 21. Once this came back and it was fixed, it was fixed. I've never had an issue with it since. The steel has always sharpened up very well, so the steel has been processed very well. It has a deep hollow grind, so it's thin behind the edge. This also has a tip more akin to the tip of the drop point 31. It is a lot finer. That is one of the things I did not like about the 21 drop point. It had kind of a bulbous tip. That thickness carried out almost all the way to the edge, to the end of the knife. So I did not care for that too much. This kind of remedies that, and the 31, that is one good thing I will say, kind of remedies that. It does have a decent amount of belly, but you know, it's more of a traditional blade shape. And like I said, I'm sure you guys have been cutting through things and you find yourself having to reposition, or you just flat out, the edge loses contact with the material and you just have to like put the knife back onto the material. So I think this blade shape is still superior for the types of uses I use these knives for. I do think that this knife, I do work in an office setting, so I do think that this knife, the Impinda, works a little bit better in that type of a setting because you have to use two hands to open it. You guys know I typically flick my 21 open. People take that a little more aggressively for whatever reason. So this would be my choice for the office setting for that reason. It does have a pocket clip. You can take the pocket clip off. I believe it comes with a filler tab. I never bothered to fool with all of that, but you can. It has a spot for a lanyard if you want to do that kind of thing. So this really is a nice office knife. This I could use in the office or outside of the office. As I said, I carried one of these every day for 2 years plus. There's nothing that it did not do that I needed it to do. It never let me down. This one I've had for probably, I don't know, 2, 3, maybe close to 4 years. And same thing, it has never let me down. It's always functioned, even with me flicking the knife, which I'm not supposed to do. I really can't complain. So this has served me well. This I like in the office setting, but I think it has some shortcomings outside of that type of a setting. The two-handed thing really is not a benefit when you're outside of an office setting, because we all know we want to open our knives as quickly as possible. We want to close them as quickly as possible, and that usually is a one-handed affair. So I will say those things, but like I said, Omaha Knives took care of me. Chris Reeve Knives took care of me. Even when I sent this knife in, and this is a side story, even when I sent this knife in to have the engraving done, the 123, this knife was in for the engraving when I sent this knife back to Chris Reeve, and Chris Reeve ended up expediting the work on this knife and shipping both of the knives back to me for free because of the inconvenience for the Impinda. So regardless of how I feel about the 31, it's hard to deny Chris Reeve and the level of service you get when you deal with them. And I think that is one of the things that makes them hard to not consider for that top position in the big three or in the knife world, or however you want to look at it. So always we'll have a little bit of love for Chris Reeve Knives. Appreciate you guys watching. Remember, a lazy man carries a dull knife.